Tuesday night, another edition of Sideline Sports. I see we got the new logo, the new intro, and we got Greg Pryor joining us tonight. Former Major League player, World Series champion, one-time Yankee.
One time, I was going to say, for a little bit, he was a Yankee.
Very excited, glad to have him with us. It's an honor to have him here. I hear there's a huge announcement coming tonight, Jake, as well.
There is. I think, I unless either of you like to say it, I'll put it right out there. Do you guys would either of you like to take it? No?
I mean, I don't know. I was supposed to be at the Boys and Girls Club in Greenwich for tonight's announcement, but I'm not.
Oh, is that so? Well,
yes, it's
big
a big
announcement.
announcement.
First of all, the new logos, which is exciting. I mean, we're happy. New logos, new intro. So first of all, Rob is, as he goes, but Rob Robertson, friend of a show, did great work. So thank you for the new logos and the intros, all the great work you did first. But more importantly, Sideline Sports is officially going to be on television. DBNA Television Network. We have been working behind the scenes for about 2-3 weeks now, I'd say. We're close to it, working closely, working on that. And starting next week, we don't have an official time. We're still working on that. We're going to be picked up by that network. We're going to be on TV. So more details to come on that. But to say the least, I'm very excited about this. We're going to be we're on TV, guys, in about a year or so. It's pretty awesome.
Can't be more impressed than I am with the hard work that you guys have put in, that we've done. We've gotten to interview some great people, such as Greg.
Greg right here.
Some other great athletes we've had, some media personalities. We've done well, and it's exciting that we're going to be able to bring it to the television now, besides just podcast or radio, which we've done.
Yeah, so it'll be for people that have Roku. It's on Roku. They're working on getting on Apple TV, I believe he said, or actually rather, I think. Did you say Fire Stick? I think we're on Fire Stick.
Roku and Fire
Stick. They have an app.
Working on Apple TV, yeah.
That's what it was. And they also have a website. With the website, the live stream, you can access it. So as soon as we know our official time slot, we will let you guys know. We're working with the guy's name is David Brunner. He's the lead guy. He heads up the network. So he'll let us know our official time. But as of next week, we're going to be on television, people. Debbie, thank you. We are,
yes, thank
to
you.
say the least, very excited about this. This has been something that this has been hard to keep under wraps for as long as we have. The fact that I haven't a word basically anybody is a miracle, because I've been so excited about this.
I'm sitting here in Kansas City almost sweating with all this new news you guys.
It was so I'm like, poor Greg I want to interview Greg. I want to talk to him, but we got this huge announcement. We gotta start with this. And Greg, I'm sure you won't mind that I share this. This was funny. Greg was sharing the show this week, and he was telling us right before the show starts, he's been sharing the show with people all week, right? And people are like, what's this huge announcement, Greg? What's going on? What is it? And Greg's like, I have nothing. I don't know what's going on. Because when people see the title, they see that and they think Greg has got some big announcement. It's just I
told JB before the show, I said, JB, I got to come up with something, because all my friends are asking me what my big announcement is. We can get into that. I do have an announcement, and I don't want to overshadow anything you guys.
No. You're our guest, and guests should always feel like they're at home. So
my announcement is that there's going to be a big announcement. That's my announcement.
I like it.
A lot of big announcements in one episode. I love it.
Now, if people want to hear about my big announcement, they need to go to my website, which you guys might have a copy of that shot I gave you, that one with the banner with the my information.
I sure do. Give me 1 second. I'll pull that up for you.
Yeah, okay. And then they can go to my website where my book is, and if they just send me an email, I can share my announcement right down there at GregoryPryor.com at the bottom. If they want to go there and put in their email, and I'll tell you guys ahead of time, I won't try to upstage anything you're doing, but if they want to leave their email there at GregoryPryor.com, I'll put them in the list. And when my big announcement is made, then I think we'll all be happy, because it probably would affect all three of you and a lot of the people that because it's all about baseball.
Yeah,
it's going to be about baseball history. But I got a new slant to it, and I can't divulge it now, because somebody might try to see it. But it's going to be exciting, and I just talked to my producer today about it, and he wants in. So I'll let everybody know if they want to give me their email address.
Absolutely.
All right, so make sure you guys check that out. Yeah,
give it to Greg. Absolutely. I mean, look, I know we got a big announcement, but I can't imagine what Greg you've got. I can only imagine.
Yeah, well, it's fun to be with you again, really, because JB, I don't know how you and I connected. I don't know if you saw a show I did with Sundberg on the air or not. I'm glad we did, because I feel comfortable with you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, glad to have you on.
I saw you on Facebook, and I had seen about that you were with the Yankees, and a little bit before my time. I was born in the mid '70s, so I don't remember too much of the era back then. I remember you at Kansas City, but not with the Yankees. And then I started doing some research, and we connected. And you were a fascinating guest. I mean, you had some phenomenal stories, which we'll get into in just a minute. And I was lucky enough to have you on the show and get to know you a lot better. I definitely appreciate you taking the time.
Well, it's always fun to talk to people that love the game of baseball, even though you guys are 20, 30, 40 years younger than me. But what we really need to do in this country is to inspire these young people to understand the history of the game.
Yep.
Because the history of the game is disappearing. And we guys like us are going to have something to do with it, because we don't want people to forget. I mean, I was 7 years old and when I started playing Little League baseball up in Akron, Ohio. And I was in a family of 6 children. And my parents, my dad was a school teacher, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and my dad took me to the Mistake by the Lake up there in Cleveland. And I saw the old Yankees play. I saw Mickey Mantle play, Yogi Berra, Elston Howard, Ryan Duran. Yeah, doubleheaders were big back in those days. You go back and look at the old box scores back in the late '50s, early '60s. I mean, those guys played like 6 or 7 doubleheaders every season. And
no 7-inning doubleheaders either. They played full 9 innings.
They played real doubleheaders.
Let's not ruin my night by. And there was no nets either, There was no nets out there anyway. And they play with the same ball one whole inning sometimes.
Wow.
And when a guy slid, you might see a guy ending up in left field. That was back when I played. But no, they've changed the game some, but we can't let it detract from the reason why we're all here is because our dads, our uncles, our grandpas, they taught us how to play catch. And they taught us how to love the game. And even though some of us didn't play as long as we wanted, I was one of the lucky ones. I snuck through. I played professional baseball for 16 years. Some of it I was underpaid. Some of it people say I might have been overpaid. But regardless, I was able to get in as a rookie at age 29 with the Chicago White Sox. Bob Lemon was my first manager in Chicago. And then I played for Larry Doby next. I played for Don Kessinger, who played shortstop. When I played second base, I played with my manager. And then La Russa took over for Kessinger, and I played Antonio La Russa's first win in Toronto in 1979, his first major league win. And then luckily I got traded to Kansas City and played for the great Dick Howser, who you guys all know because he managed the Yankees to 103 wins in 1980 and got fired. He got fired. So hey, all of our jobs are in jeopardy right now. You can always get.
Yeah, the good old George Steinbrenner back in the day. The things he would do.
Yeah, he was something.
Well, I got a call. I got a call in '76 or '70s. February '77. I was expecting to go to the major league camp for the Rangers, and I got a call from Dan O'Brien, the GM of the Rangers, and he said, "Pryor, we just traded you to the New York Yankees." And it was like one of the biggest shocks of my life to go from the Rangers to the Yankees. And he said, "Yeah, Gabe Paul's going to be calling you in a few minutes." And I'm trying to process this. I'm going to go to Yankee spring training with Reggie and Thurman and Catfish, and I was asking myself, am I going to be able to handle this? Yogi Berra and Elston Howard hitting me ground balls.
You got to be thinking, is this real life? Is this really happening to me? Right?
It gets a lot worse than that. That's the good part. The bad part is that Billy kind of he didn't like the Yankees trading Sandy Alomar Sr. for me. Sandy Alomar Sr. was on the 76 Yankees that they won the American League pennant and lost to the Reds in the World Series in 76.
No.
And I go to spring training not knowing that. And I got 7 at-bats the whole spring, and they sent me to AAA, and they made me cut my mustache. And that's why the title of my book is The Day the Yankees Made Me Shave, because it really ticked me off so much. I wrote a book about it.
Wow.
But anyway,
question.
Now you guys, JB, go ahead, man. Take the lead there. What you got, Nick? You got a Nick shirt on there?
Yeah, we're the Knicks shirt. I'm a Nets fan, but I just like the way this looks.
Oh, that's okay.
No, you guys are fine. I got a Life Priority shirt on here. That's my company over here, right here. I told my wife I was going to do the show tonight, and instead of her giving me encouragement, she said, "Greg, make sure you cut your nose hairs."
So when you grew up in Ohio, did you grow up a Cleveland fan, or were you rooting for a different team?
Yeah, it's Cleveland all the way. I didn't see any major league. I spent the first 5 years in Florida, but we moved up to Ohio. And when I saw that stadium up there with 80,000 seats in 1958 or 59 for the first time, I think I was like 10 years old. I was like, wow, I never saw anything that big in my life, 80,000 seats. And when I saw all the action going on down on that field, taking infield batting practice, guys were hitting balls. And people were screaming. It blew my mind as a young kid to be able to be in a place that big. And I fell in love with the Cleveland and Rocky Colavito, especially because, he could hit the long ball. And back then we loved home runs, and now they love them even more now.
It's the era of home run now, right?
But the funny story about Rocky being my childhood hero there, he went to Polsky's department store in Akron, and I begged my parents to take me over there to get his autograph. He was signing autographs. And I waited like 2 hours to get Rocky's autograph, And I go up to the table where he was, and I looked at him. I was very scared, and he autographed it, and I don't remember him smiling too much. And then I thought that was the biggest thing in my life. But fast forward to in '82, I got traded from the White Sox to the Royals, and he was the batting coach for the Kansas City Royals at the time. He and Dick Hauser were pretty tight when they played for Cleveland. And Rocky came by my locker before a game, and he goes, "Hey, Pryor, sign these 2 balls for me."
Wow.
So it was kind of a weird, and I made him wait for a long time, and he started getting mad at me. I never told him. I never said. Yeah, but I finally told him. I said, "Hey, Rocky, you made me wait 2 hours for your autograph." And I was a kid. So he was great. We had a wonderful time with Rocky, and I had some wonderful batting coaches, and he was just one of them.
So, quick question for you with the Indians. So they've just played their last home game as the Indians. Growing up an Indian fan, does that have any sentiment to you, or does it matter?
Well, God, is this a political show or what?
No.
I don't mind talking about this because it's your show. I saw nothing wrong with Chief Wahoo. I loved him since the day I first saw him. And I love the Indians from 7 years, 8 years old. And for somebody to recently making light that it's offensive, it kind of offends me that I was liking something that I never considered offensive. And, there's a lot of sports fans around the country that are not happy with it. They'll always be the Indians to me, and they can change the name all they want, but it's always going to be the Indians to me.
I feel the same way as you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, we got the Kansas City Chiefs here. What are we going to do with our team?
Right.
Listen, I'm a St. John's basketball fan. They were the Redmen years ago. They became the Red Storm. It's a while ago now when they did that. It's a weird thing to get used to. And growing up being a fan of the team years ago, just curious to see what your thought was. It's kind of sad to see an end of an era.
Let me add just a little bit more to this because I want people that agree with that change to understand a few things about what I just said. In '77, I got sent to Syracuse out of the Yankee camp, and there was a lot of guys there that were disgruntled because on most AAA teams, the guys are trying to get to the major league team or they're trying to get out of that organization to go try somebody else. And I was one of them. I was 28. I was broke, and I was not happy to be in Syracuse. Well, luckily for me, Gene Locklear was on that team. Gene Locklear had been in the big leagues with the Cincinnati Reds and the Yankees before he got sent to Syracuse. And I got to know Gene very well. I would go to his room, and he would be painting pictures in his room. And he was a different guy, and he was a full-blooded Lumbee Indian from North Carolina. And I was from North Carolina, and I got along with Gene extremely well. We called him Chief, He wasn't offended by that. But anyway, the reason why I'm saying this is that he gave me some of the best advice of my career at that time because he knew I was going to be a free agent after the 77 season. And I told him that the Yankees were flying me to New York to negotiate a contract because they heard I was going to be a free agent. And he goes, Pryor, don't sign with them because you're not going to beat out Nettles. You're not going to beat out Dent. You're not going to beat out Randolph. You need to go somewhere where somebody's going to give you a chance to play. So that was ringing in my ears when I got in front of Steinbrenner in Yankee Stadium. And Steinbrenner offered me a 2-year contract. I mean, I was broke. I told you that already. And I was like desperate. And Steinbrenner offered me a 2-year guaranteed salary, larger than the minimum, to sign. And he thought he had me. But I knew that I just felt like I didn't really think the Yankees were going to give me a chance. I mean, obviously, in retrospect, I might have had a 77 ring or a 78 ring. Who knows? But I told him no, and he ended up calling me a dumbass for not signing, slamming in my face. And I played it out there in Syracuse, and ended up, the rest is on my baseball card. I signed with the White Sox, played there 4 years, and then got traded to the Royals and played here 5 years.
Well, speaking of that, do you regret not signing that contract just because you mentioned you could have had a ring? I mean, I know some people are like, yeah, I want the championships. Some people want the money. Some people just want to get out there and play. And from what you say, it makes it sound like you just wanted to get out there and have a chance to actually play. And it wasn't about just winning championships. It was about playing the game you love. Do you regret it all, or were you happy because you got to go play somewhere else and actually be on the field and play?
When I got to that clubhouse in spring training in 77, and, there's Nettles and there's Paul Blair, Jimmy Wynn, and I'm looking around, I'm thinking, hey, these guys are bona fide. I'm not bona fide at all, except I got invited, I wore number 42, but that still didn't help me at all. That was the only number left. I don't regret it at all because what it did for me was allow me to get an agent name is Steve Greenberg, whose dad was Hank Greenberg. Hank and Bill Veeck were like this for many years, with the Cleveland Indians. Hank Greenberg was a general manager for Bill Veeck. And Steve called me right after I got drafted. I was in the free agent draft, and he said, Greg, I really think that the White Sox could use you. Let me be your agent and go and negotiate a contract with the Bill Veeck and the White Sox because I know them really well. So if I had signed with the Yankees and gone up there, does anybody remember the backup infielders for the 77 Yankees or the 78 Yankees?
No, you're right.
That's what I'm saying. So I was able to get kind of an apprenticeship in Chicago in the infield there because they needed help on defense, and that was one of my strengths was some defense. So I don't regret it, even though I sit around and think. I always root for the Yankees in a certain way, though, because there's one of my former teams that helped me get there. They really.
That's very cool. I respect that.
Thank you.
I know, like I said, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I just want the money, or I just want the championship." So I respect the fact they're like, "Look, I just want to play the game. I want to get out there and play." And to me, that's one of the most important things about a professional athlete. If an athlete goes out there and they're only playing for money or they're only playing for championships, not for the love of the game, I don't care if you are the greatest player. I don't care if you're Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, any of those. I don't care. If you're only doing it for money or just championships, not the love of the game, then why are you out there playing? And I hold true to that no matter what. So that's why I asked that, because I think you went and did the right thing, even though, it would have been cool to have a championship. Of course it would be. I mean, as a kid, I'm sure you're everybody dreams of winning a championship. I mean, we all did. I know we did. But I think realizing your dream by just playing the game itself is probably good enough for you at that point. It's, what? to be out there and actually playing is probably a little more important at that point. So I think that's very noble of you. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you.
So you got to be involved in two of the craziest games in Major League history. You were part of the disco demolition in Chicago and the George Brett Pine Tar game at Yankee Stadium. Can you tell us a little bit about both and which one sticks out to you as being, more memorable?
Thank you for the question. In Comiskey, before I got there, Bill Veeck had a history of being like the ringleader of a circus because he was always putting on a show any way he could. He put up Eddie Gadil when he was with the St. Louis Browns. He put up a midget to bat, and he got a walk putting up a midget to bat, and it changed the American League rule for that. You have to be you have to be a certain height to play Major League Baseball because of Bill Veeck. Well, I get to Chicago, and we would have all kinds of things happen before the game. We'd run through belly dancers before the game. They'd be doing their things, and we'd run through the belly dancers. It was crazy. Well, this night we had a doubleheader against the Tigers. We started early. I think we started the first game at 5:30 or something, and we all knew that it was disco demolition night. But as players, you're so concentrating on the game, you don't really let the other stuff distract you, or you won't make it. But during that first game, I was at shortstop, and the banners started appearing all around the stadium. And for the people that are watching that might not know what this promotion was, the son of Bill Veeck, Mike Veeck, got together with Steve Dahl, who was a disc jockey on a local rock and roll station, and they decided they wanted to have an anti-disco night. They were going to blow up disco because they didn't like disco music. So anybody that would bring a 33 and a third, and for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a big round flat record. If you brought a 33 and a third in the ball game, you got in for a reduced price. And they promoted on this in rock station, and unfortunately, they were expecting 20,000, but by the middle of the first game, in about the seventh inning, there was 44,000 in the stands, and I couldn't believe it. The aura was not baseball oriented. I think it's the first time most of them have ever been to a major league game. They were not watching the game. There was a buzz. There was a buzz in the stands, and it wasn't baseball buzz. You could even smell the buzz,
I can imagine.
So, and they were chanting "Disco sucks" during the first game. We'd be up back, "Disco sucks," So they were going to pile all these records up in center field between the first game and the second game. So after the first game was over, which the Tigers won, I'm in the clubhouse, and I was going to play shortstop in the second game, and I'm at my locker. And our starting pitcher walked by me, and I looked up, and I looked at him. I said, "Aren't you pitching?" Kenny Kravik. He goes, "Yeah, but there's nowhere to pitch. There's nowhere to warm up. The field's full of people. You need to go out and see it. You need to go out and watch." So I grabbed my pants and pulled them up, and I'm running. I'm running down to the dugout to see what's going on out there, and some of the crowd, the real boisterous ones, they were trying to storm our clubhouse. And then as I got near the entrance to the runway to go down to the dugout, I saw our equipment manager had a bat in his hand, and he had it over his head. And there was 8 or 9 young kids that were trying to come into our clubhouse from the dugout.
Oh, my God.
And he goes, "One more step, and one of you is going to be going to the hospital. Just one more step. Just one of you. Who wants it?" And they looked at him, and I don't think they wanted to get hit by the bat, and they scared, so they took off and ran away. And he slammed the wood plank on the door, and we were prisoners for an hour and a half after that. We couldn't get anywhere. We were locked in our own clubhouse, and we heard the mounted police outside on the concrete outside our clubhouse doors, and we knew some bad stuff was happening, but we never knew that 25,000 people were going to be on the field. And, there's videos on the internet. So, unfortunately, they tore the field up so bad that we couldn't play the second game. It was forfeited to the Tigers. And,
wow.
That made me part of baseball history, I guess, because then I thought that would be the biggest weird thing that happened to me. That was in 79. No. So then in 83, I'm in Yankee Stadium. And it's another normal Sunday day game, Sunday afternoon in Yankee Stadium. We were losing the game in the 7th inning, and I looked up, and we had both catchers in the game. And here comes the manager walking toward me, and he goes, "Hey Pryor," he goes, "I need you in the bullpen." And I had never been in the bullpen my whole career up until this time. So here I'm walking across. Because we had both catchers in the game. He wanted 2 pitchers pitching in the bullpen, so I had to go out and warm up a left-hander. I walked across left field in Yankee Stadium, and I thought it was kind of fun in a way to get out of the dugout and go across the monument. So I'm up in the bullpen in left field there at Yankee Stadium, warming up a left-hander when George Brett comes up with 2 outs, man on first, and we're down by 1 run, and Gossage is pitching, right? Mm-hmm. So we kind of like hesitated to see what would happen. We everybody was sitting there watching. All of a sudden, the ball goes off of George's bat out in the right field, and we knew it from looking out there in left field. We knew that the ball was going to be over the fence. So we're all excited because we've got a run lead. Well, I was getting ready to go back and because we were going to have to play the bottom of the 9th because we're up by 1 run. Well, unfortunately. Billy and Greg Nettles talked about it, and after George hit that home run, Billy comes out and he told the umpires that he thought George was using an illegal bat. So they measured the bat. They ruled in Billy's favor. Tim McClellan walks over to the dugout, which everybody's probably seen a lot of times, where he called George out, and George leaped off the dugout and comes out and just about knocks McClellan over. And we were not happy in the bullpen. I was kind of happy because I wouldn't have to warm up any more pitchers, So we collected all of our stuff in the bullpen, and we're walking across left field. And George's, when I got to the dugout, George is still in the dugout. That's how long it lasted. We weren't running. We were walking slow. Well, George was in the dugout, and there's a video of me carrying my catcher's glove back into the dugout that I borrowed from somebody. So I get into the dugout, and I didn't bother George at that time. And then I was locker next to him. So we're up in the clubhouse, and by the time I got to my locker, I looked at like 50 reporters were around George's locker waiting for him to come in so they could interview him. And I knew I couldn't get near my locker. So I sat for like 30 minutes waiting for the reporters to come away from my locker so I could get undressed. And I walked over there, and George was sitting next to me. He had his head down, and I said, "Hey," I said, "What's wrong? Sometimes you have to get over stuff pretty quick in baseball."
Sure.
He looks at me, goes, "What do you mean?" He's, "I lost a home run. We lost the game." I said, "Hey, George," I said, look at the bright side, dude. I said, "Some pine tar company is going to come at you and give you $150,000 to endorse their pine tar. Right? Money off of this." He goes, "What a great idea." He starts laughing, and he goes, "Where are we going to go eat? That's a great idea. I'm in a good mood. Let's go."
That's great. That was fantastic.
So, as most people know, they overturned that ruling. We had to go back in on an off day, which we weren't happy about. We landed in Newark, and I knew I was going to be at third base because George got thrown out along with Hauser and Colavito and Gaylord Perry. And I knew I was going to be at third base to start the bottom of the 9th. Actually, there was still 2 out in the top of the 9th. Hal McRae was going to hit after George. So Hal McRae made an out, and Quisenberry came in and shut him down. We dressed. We got him out three outs in a row. Billy tried to come out and say that one of the runners, when George hit the home run, didn't touch a base, but all the umpires had what do you call it when you ratify a legal document saying that all the runners touched the bases. So we finished the game and went back to Newark and flew to Baltimore and played the next night.
Played for what, like 5 minutes, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was the weirdest thing. I mean, nobody in the stands. I think they sold tickets for 75 cents a piece if people wanted to come.
I never forget. I was a young kid watching the game. Phil Rizzuto was announcing, and I think Bill White, if I remember correctly. And I've never seen an athlete get that upset. And I mean, poor Brent was outside his head. He was so upset. And it was the strangest thing. It was like one of the greatest things to watch. As a Yankee fan at a young age, I was like 9 at the time. I was like so happy. Then at the protest, and you guys won the protest. I remember the game on a random day, watching. I'm like, we're going to lose this game.
Well, in retrospect, the correct decision that the umpire should have made in that circumstance there is it was to let the game finish the way it was. Don't overturn the bat. Let the game finish. And if the Yankees wanted to appeal, they could have sent it back to New York, and the Lee McPhail could have made his decision, and we wouldn't have had to go back in and finish the game because
exactly.
There's a lot of Yankee fans that think that pine tar made the ball go over the fence, but believe me, I based on my career home run record, pine tar did not make balls go over the fence, right? It was, but there I go. I played in two of the weirdest games in the history of baseball, and I'm the only major leaguer that played in both of those games. So I'm a trivia question if you guys want to use it on something.
Who's the only guy that's ever been in the two weirdest games in all of baseball? The answer might be Greg Pryor. That's the only guy.
And then, so now the 85 World Series, a great World Series. You guys are the Royals against the Cardinals. Obviously we know how great your team was. The Royals ended up winning. But tell us a little bit about the series, because that was probably one of my favorite World Series growing up watching, besides the ones that I've seen with the Yankees, of course. But
well, you can see that trophy. You can see my trophy right behind me here. That's one of my prized possessions because they let us buy a replica. It's got my name on it, and I never thought I'd get in the big leagues. We're talking about somebody sitting here that never planned on being a major league player, a minor league player, or a college player. I was a walk-on at college, so it was a long way for me to get to a World Series team. But luckily for me, I got traded in '82 to a team that had been in the playoffs quite a bit. Royals had some great teams back in the late '70s, early '80s. We won our division in '84. And we lost to the Tigers in the playoffs, and then they beat the Padres in the '84 World Series. But the next season, Jon Shearer made great trades during the season. I mean, we got Lonnie Smith, who became a real integral part of our season. Willie Wilson went down in September, and Jon Shearer traded for Omar Marino, and he drove in 13 runs in September to fill in for Willie. So. And then Balboni goes off and sets a Royals record at the time of 36 home runs. And then we had the young pitching, with the young Saberhagen at 20 years old, came up and played better than he should have as a pitcher. And he wasn't intimidated at all. So, and then we had Quisenberry and Frank White at second. But we also got Sundberg over the winter, Don Slott. I think Don, I don't know what team Don went. I think he went to Pittsburgh. And we got Sundberg, who was a 6-time Gold Glover behind the plate to handle this young pitching. And it all came together. And we got down in the playoffs against Toronto. We got down 3-1, and then we won 3 games against Toronto, which I don't know if that's ever been done before. And then we got down 3-1 to the Cardinals. And we won the Sunday day game in St. Louis to make it 3-2. And then the greatest game that I've ever seen in Kauffman Stadium, it was then Royal Stadium, was game number 6, where we were down 1-0 in the bottom of the 9th, and we had a 2-run rally to win the game 2-1 in the bottom of the 9th. Thanks to Don Deckinger, who made the right call at first base, And then the next day we smoked them 11-0. So it was quite the drain on the emotions, because I write a lot about the game number 6 in my book. I really explain everything that was happening in the clubhouse and what happened to cause us to win game 6, and went into a lot of detail, because there's a lot of things that happen in games before the end of the game that you forget about. Like in the I think it was the bottom of the first inning, George was up in game number 6. With a man on third base and 1 out, and the National League umpire called him out on a strike 3, which George hardly ever argued with umpires. That's one thing I give him so much credit for. He never showed umpires up, and I don't know how guys think they can do it these days, because I don't mind. I almost got thrown out of one major league game because I argued with an umpire, but he deserved it, But see these guys. These guys nowadays, they started complaining in the first inning, and these umpires are human. But this National League umpire called George out, and he just glanced back at him, and he walked back to the dugout. And on replay, if you go back and look at it, it was a ball. And, so we lost a run there in the 6th game in the first inning. So, there's a lot of things that happen. And as I said, in my book, I devote one of my chapters to that the game 6, because I wanted people to understand it from a player's point of view, and I tried to come up with every fact I could about Game 6. And I put my book back there. If you see my book there,
you want to bring it forward so everyone can see it?
What's that? No, I got one right here. Let me open it.
Oh, look at that! He's all prepared. I love it.
I have one here.
Beautiful.
That's wonderful. I love that. I love that you're able to try and bring that perspective that fans can't get unless somebody like you brings that to light. I respect that, and I love that as a baseball purist.
Well, fortunately, I'll be 72 next October 2nd, so I'm kind of proud of my brain because I can remember all these things. And in fact, I had George autograph my book, one of my books, and he goes, "Pryor, you got a really good memory." I said, "That was a long time ago," and this book came about because I should have sent you the picture. My grandpa played in 1912 for a team in Duffy, Ohio, and I have a picture of my grandpa. And that's all I had of my grandpa. So to your point, I wanted to write these stories out because, the history of the game is so important. That's why I told you earlier that we have to protect it. And I know we care about the game now, and I know this is a long time ago, but these stories are going to last forever, and especially in my book. So if they can go to my website. You want to put up that screen again real quick?
Yeah, give me one
They
second.
can go there, and I'll give them a code to use. If they want to save on shipping, they can use HOF. It stands for Hall of Fame. In the code, and I'll ship it for free. And then in the book, I'll give them. There it is, right there. GregoryPryor.com. It'll go right to my book, and if they use the code letters HOF. I'll ship it on my dime, and then I'll autograph it personally to them. And then I also send a card here in my books with 21 tips on how to be a better player on the back. And then if they're really lucky, I'll send out a card. I got all these cards. I got 37 baseball cards, and I don't know what to do with them. So order the book. I'll autograph the card for you. And then I'll send a brochure that explains a little bit about what I do for a living, which is my nutritional company. And so come on, Yankee fans, learn some history of baseball. Order the book, and I'll send you some presents.
Now, is your company on your website on GregoryPryor.com as well?
No, it's that my company is at lifepriority.com right here.
Okay.
And let me just show you a couple products here.
Certainly.
Because, hey. If this goes worldwide, it'll help everybody's brain. There's two products that I offer. One is called Lift. They can see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
And the other one's called Mind.
Okay.
Now, one of them helps with mental energy. One of them helps with mental clarity. And that's why
here's his website, by the way, just so everybody can see it.
That's why I can sit and talk to you guys right now, because every thought in your brain is controlled by neurotransmitters. If you haven't learned it by now, it's to learn it tonight. Every thought is controlled by neurotransmitters. And if you put in the right things to help neurotransmitters, you can do these shows and have no problem. So let's go.
I love that.
Gets all the energy.
I think that's fantastic that you want to help people better themselves and live a longer and healthier and happier life. I mean, I respect that, and I think that that's fantastic that you're able to try and bring that to people and help them out.
I appreciate that a lot because, when I first got in the industry in 1991, I've been in the industry for 30 years. I really didn't want to sell anything. I hated salespeople. I didn't like salespeople at all. But here I am, a salesman, and I'm happy with myself. Okay, so be nice to the salesmen in your lives. And then that Lift also comes in capsules. This is one of our best sellers. 2 of these capsules on an empty stomach will put you in a good mood for like 4 to 6 hours. It was created by a genius that I've been with since 1991. And recently, last product, guys, and we'll go back to baseball. This product here is called V-Guard 2. Mm-hmm. And if you can read that slowly, V-Guard 2, guess what that's for? Well, you go to my website, read about these products, and I think that you'll be glad you did, because I've been helping thousands of people since 1991 live a happier, healthier life. And if you guys aren't taking supplements, I hope you consider it. Okay?
You got it.
Certainly.
Definitely.
Okay.
So,
all right, back to baseball.
Getting back to baseball. So you played with George Brett. You were on the Yankees with, Reggie, Thurman. You were in Chicago. So who were some of your favorite teammates that you had?
I was getting ready to say I couldn't wait for this time of the year because in October you want to get away from everybody. You're so tired of being around them, Perfect question, JB. No. Hey, when you go to a major league team like I did, you look around for the veterans because, back in my day, you respected the veterans. And I think that a lot of major league teams are causing that to happen now because I saw where Brandon Belt is called the captain. He's the captain of the Giants, and yep. they indoctrinate rookies on the Giants, and they make them dress in funny costumes. And they on a flight recently, they dressed them all up like little sailor boys, and Brandon Belt was the rookies were, and Brandon Belt was dressed up like the captain, right? It was so cool. It was a great picture. It's on the internet somewhere. But when I got to my first big league spring training, I had injured my back because I was working so hard. I tinged my back, and I didn't want to tell the trainer, so I showed up early to get in the whirlpool. And I'm in the whirlpool like at 7:30. I didn't think anybody would be there because we didn't have to be dressed till like 9:30. So I'm in there in the whirlpool, and here comes a guy with a cigar and a magazine, and he had a towel around him. And I had never met him before, but I knew who he was.
Greg, real quick, 1 sec. I just wanted to show, because you were talking about this. I found it first. How great is that? That is very funny. I hadn't seen this.
I love that's what baseball's all about. I mean, you got to have fun in baseball.
I didn't mean to interrupt your story. I want to hear it, but I had to find this picture. I was like, all right. The moment you said it, I was like, all right, I got to find this and show it because this is great. But you're right. This is awesome. What you got. This is what you love to see. I love this stuff.
I wish that some of my teams would have done that. Anyway,
that's great.
But here's my version of that I'm getting ready to finish here. This guy looks at me, Jim Fregosi, and he goes, "Are you a rookie?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I'm Jim Fregosi, and I'm not." He says, "I want you to get I'm going to get your ass out of that whirlpool right now. This is for bona fide players, okay?" So wow. So I got right out of the whirlpool. I didn't know any different. I respected him. He's in the big leagues, But back to your question, JB, I guess some of the players that I really liked, there's so many of them. I mean, I hate to leave anybody out because over this shoulder back there is the 78 White Sox. And I had some of the closest friends on that team, and Jim Morrison, who went on to play for the Pirates. Eric Soderholm was on that team. Ron Bloomberg was on that team. Francisco Barrios, Don Cassinger, the Claudel Washington. I mean, I had so many wonderful memories of playing with the bona fide guys. But I guess when I got to Kansas City, and I got number 4 on my ring here, my World Series ring, and I got number 4 because when I got traded to the Royals, I didn't like them at all because, we had White Sox and the Royals had a rivalry, and I hated the Royals. I hated the Royals so bad. So when I got traded in March of '82 to Kansas City, I'm thinking to myself, Kansas City? I don't like any of those guys. So Jon Shearer met me after I got traded. He was the GM of the Royals, and he goes, "Greg, can you show up here tomorrow morning?" I said, "I'll be back tomorrow morning with my stuff." I got traded in Fort Myers. And I went back to Sarasota where the White Sox were training. And then the next morning, I showed up in a clubhouse in Fort Myers. And here I walk into a clubhouse where I didn't like anybody. Imagine the feeling. So I'm trying to answer JB's question. So I walked in and I expected somebody to walk up to me and say, "Hey, Pryor, we're glad you're here." Pat me on the back, whatever. Nobody said a word to me. I was sitting there like a zombie. Where was I going to go? Like throw my bag in a locker that I shouldn't throw it in. So I just kind of stood there, and eventually the equipment manager saw me and he walks over to me, Al Zeke, and he goes, "Pryor, take that locker." And he goes, "Give me the number you want because we're going to Baltimore in a week. I got to get your uniforms made." And I'm thinking, wow, that's cool. And I said, I don't care what number I get. I really didn't. I would have worn 99. I didn't care. But Jamie Quirk, who I knew from Instructional League, runs over. He goes, "Pryor, I heard they traded for you. He goes, is Al asking you for a number? I said, yeah, he wants me to give him a number. He goes, take number 4. I said, why? He says, because you'll lock her next to George Brett. I said, George Brett? I hate George Brett. So I took number 4. So I'm out walking after I got dressed on the field, and Brett walks up to me and he goes, Pryor, he says, we trade for you? I said, yeah, last night. I says, hey, let me ask you a question. Whenever I played in Comiskey Park, whenever I played in the Royal Stadium, I get on second or third base, and he says, how come you never come over and said hi to me or anything? You never said one word to me. I said, because, George, I didn't like you at all, and I didn't like none of your teammates.
So to piggyback on that, I have a question. What do you think of players today being, if you watch any sport, they're extremely friendly, basketball, baseball. I have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with them being friends off the field, but I have a problem with players not disliking each other anymore. I'm the type of sports fan and baseball fan that likes you hating the other team, hating everybody in your division with a passion, the Kobe Bryant type, where you just don't like anybody because you're there to beat them. You're not there to be their friend. If you want to be their friend off the field, that's fine. But on the field and game time, they're your enemy. What do you think about players not having that mindset so much anymore?
Well, I agree 100% with what you're saying, and let me tell you why. Because to get to where I got as a guy that made 50 errors in A-ball one year, I considered it a big honor for me to compete and try to help my city win no matter where I was, whether it was Rocky Mount or whether it was in Comiskey Park. I was there to win, and I had it instilled in me. And my dad, he saw the potential in me, and I dedicated my book to my dad. And when I got to big leagues, I looked at I had friends like I got traded to Kansas City, and I had friends on the White Sox when I went back in there, and I think so much like you do that I never went over and talked to them before the game, and I never was that friendly with them when they got on the base. And it wasn't because I didn't like them; it's because there's a difference between liking somebody and competing with them and trying to beat them. And as someone who's been hit in the head before, I knew that eventually that I'd probably get in some skirmishes in the big leagues because they happen. The White Sox and the Tigers had one yesterday. And I've been in skirmishes in the big leagues before, right in the middle of them. That's a story for my second book. But I always thought that if I got too friendly with the players on the other team, that I just didn't want to be two-faced about it. I wanted them to think that I was a real jerk. I didn't care what they thought of me. I knew what I thought of them because I wanted to beat them. And I knew that they were trying to beat me. And it was nothing about friendship. So when I got out of the game and I saw these guys palling around the batting cage and, they might have played winter ball together, if I was a manager, I think in the big leagues, and I think it's beyond hope now because they're going to be friendly now. They sit and talk to each other in the infield. They get on second base and they start talking. First thing they do is start talking to each other.
Yep.
If I was a manager in the big leagues, I'd say, look, I don't like you talking to other players. I don't want you fraternizing before or after the game's over. If you want to go out and drink beer with them after the game or eat with them, do it. But don't do it in front of me, please. I'm just asking you not to do it. I can't stop you. I'm not going to make an issue of it, but I'm going to let you know that if I see you and you're smiling after a loss with your buddy on the other team, I'm not going to like it.
That's how I feel.
I played for La Russa, who's never smiled in his whole life. I don't.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So that brings up a question I have about Tony. So, Tony has been managing for many years now. He's had success pretty much wherever he goes. From playing for him and seeing him now, what's the secret to his success?
Well, it's a good question there because when he came in, he was 38. He was 34, 35 in 79. And he had spent 13 years in the minor leagues. Let me repeat that. Tony La Russa spent parts of 13 seasons in the minor leagues as a player.
Wow.
Okay, fine. I spent 7 years in the minor leagues, and I thought that was pretty cool. You know, that wasn't. Tony had a instinct for the game that was given to him in the minor leagues, and he wasn't good enough to get to the big league. He played a little bit with Oakland, but he's not going to. He couldn't make the big leagues because he wasn't good enough. So when he came in as a manager in '79 there in Comiskey, I had already played for Bob Lemon. I already played for Larry Doby. I played for Don Kessinger, and I was like, who is this guy? You know, he never played in the big leagues. Well, Tony was so green. It was a good hire by Bill Beck. Don't get me wrong, but he was so green that he when he was going to go out and argue a play on the field, he would get, as a rookie manager, he would look at the bench on his way out, and he would look at me and Jim Sundberg, and he'd go, or Jim Morrison, he'd go, was he out or safe? Was he out or safe? He didn't know what he was going to argue before he went out there. He was on his way out. And I'm thinking, wow, wait a minute. I've never seen a manager like look for the answer from the bench. So, but when he was managing, he was about as intense of a manager as I've ever played for. He was going to defend his players as much as any manager, and you know what I mean by defending your players. Look what he did yesterday. You know, that's vintage Tony La Russa. You know, Abreu got hit with an 0-2 pitch, and the Tigers are down a run. They're not going to hit him on purpose, but Abreu's been hit 20 some times. But Tony took it to the next level. He wanted a warning. He wanted the umpires to warn the other. So I probably would have been maybe just as bad as Tony, because if I'm a player and I know that my manager's not going to stand up for me, he's not. I hate to say the word revenge, but there's a lot of revenge in baseball. It's like, oh, it slipped out of my hand. I'm sorry it hit him in the eye, you know?
The unwritten rules, yes.
These guys have to be politicians because they want to save their money and they don't want to get suspended, right? But that's the tough part of the game. And Tony La Russa has been that kind of manager, and it rubs off. It rubs when you know your manager is protecting your butt. And protecting other players. It might take a week. It might take a month. It might take till next season. But Tony La Russa he's gonna let you know that he remembered what you did to one of his players, and I think that he's and I respect him for it in a certain way, but in another way, sometimes I wonder if it's if managers go overboard with getting revenge. But back to your question, Tony won in Chicago in '83. And that was great for the Chicago fans. He won at Oakland, and people might say, well, he had all them guys that were injecting before the games. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many guys were. I mean, we all guessed that Canseco was, because it was obvious that Canseco was. I mean, he looked like a Halloween character. But Tony goes to St. Louis, and he wins there. And now he comes back after 5 years, and the White Sox hired him after he's had some difficulties in his life. And when they hired him, I was happy for him, because I think he was doing it for the right reasons. I don't think he was doing it for the money. And I think he did it because he still had that fire in his belly, because he never got out of baseball. Tony went to work for the Arizona. He went to work for Boston. He went to work for Arizona, and then he gets the job there in Chicago. And I was so happy that he did that, because as a guy in his 70s, anybody that does anything in baseball at age 76 makes me feel younger. I was so happy for him. And then I sometimes I'm on some White Sox Facebook pages, and I see these people make snide comments about something that somebody did off the field, that disparaging comments about it, and like they've never been in trouble before, like you've never done something that Tony might have done before, right? Sure. So I was so happy that they won this division. So if there's any White Sox fans listening right now that thought Tony La Russa was what he was not, and he's never been that, he might have had some trouble, but so what? Your team won the division. You should be happy and apologize.
It's a nice way to prove them wrong, right?
You should be apologizing, you White Sox fans.
Yeah.
So Craig, in the background, I'm seeing a bat. Can you show us the bat back there?
Oh, this bat here?
Yes.
We'll wrap up with this one real quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I seldom take it out because it's one of my favorite pieces of hardware. Because I was sitting on the bench in 1986, and George Brett was sitting next to me, and he borrowed this bat to get his 2000th hit.
Wow.
You see that on there? Can you read it?
That's awesome.
And you might say to yourself, why would George Brett borrow your bat, Pryor? Look at your career. Look at your career average. You know, I think that if Charlie Lee Brandt was sitting next to George, he would have asked Charlie to borrow a bat. Anyway, I looked to my right. I thought he was talking to the guy next to me. No, I said, "You want to borrow my bat?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "None of my bats feel good." I said, "Look, I borrowed Frank White's bat because my bats don't feel good. And I have a Frank White bat down there. It's a dark bat with tape on the handle." And I said, I think it's a great bat. It's a K48. So I looked up. He's on deck swinging Frank White's bat, where it's really my bat. I stole out of Frank's locker. And George put his donut on there, and he's getting loose with this donut. And he gets a base hit up the middle. He breaks my bat, Frank's bat. And he's standing at first base, and they stopped the game. And I looked at the scoreboard. It was his 2000th hit. I'm thinking, holy crap! Wow. I'm the only one in the stadium to know that George borrowed my bat. You know. So after the game, which we won in the 13th inning, I went in the game later. I was 2 for 2. He was 1 for 7. And I go up to his locker with his bat. And I said, George, I was going to give it to him. I said, George, you need to keep this, man. You know, that's like averaging 200 hits for 10 straight years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So he goes, I can't believe I used that piece of crap bat. I'm glad I broke it. I can't believe I used that bat. Because George never used dark bats. I said, well, how about your wife? If you get married, maybe she'll want it. He's, I ain't never getting married. I said, how about your kids? He's, I ain't never having kids either. I said, would you sign it to me? So I ran over and got a gold pen, and he autographed the 2000th hit, George Brett, and you guys just saw it on your show.
That's amazing. That's like, I love it.
That's a great story.
Only time he ever borrowed my bat. You'd think he'd borrow my bat every game, wouldn't you?
You'd think he'd want to, right?
Well, Greg, I mean, it was an honor again having you. I have a lot of fun every time we talk. I definitely look forward to speaking with you in the future.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Greg, thank you for being here. Really,
thank you guys, man.
It was an absolute honor for all three of us. Absolute honor.
Yeah, I got more stories. You guys run out of talent. I got more stories.
I would love to have you come back on sometime.
100% circle back to you.
Yes.
Because if another conversation was anything like this, I would love.
I could listen to you talk for hours.
Absolutely.
Hey, thank you, and thank JB. He's the catalyst. And,
JB, that's what he does.
And
Thanks,
you guys, one more plug for the book.
Yeah.
GregoryPryor.com. Use HOF as a code. I'll ship it to you for free. I'll autograph it to you. And then go to lifepriority.com and clean up your life. Use Life Priority products. You'll feel better. You look better like me, you know?
Yes,
okay.
One more time. Here's the book for Greg. Yes.
There you go.
Go check it out.
Thanks,
right,
guys.
Greg.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
All right. See you, Greg.
Have a great night, Greg.
All right.
So, guys, that was Greg Pryor, World Series champion.
That was amazing.
Yankee, Royal, White Sox, Texas Ranger. George Brett's 2000 hit bat.
Absolutely.
Disco demolition game, time card game. I mean, that's a lot for an hour. If you're not watching the show, I don't know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
But now we go from the past to the more recent past of this past Sunday.
Absolutely. Now we got a whole lot more to go. I mean,
I'm going to start with a little subsection of New Jersey where 2 New York teams play. 0-6 so far, guys. 0-6.
Yeah, things don't look great.
Do any of them have a shot to win a game? The Giants have lost to Atlanta and Washington, 2 games they should have won. You know, so they should be 2-1 right now. The Jets look horrible. They're scoring less points per week.
Zach Wilson, he's seeing ghosts. He's getting the Sam Darnold treatment.
So, you know, I'm not going to say Joe Judge is the problem, but what's going on in the Meadowlands?
Well, let me start with this. So, gentlemen, I told you I was at the game this weekend, and the game stunk. But
I was looking for you when I was watching.
There was a positive. First of all, I got myself a nice little Eli Manning bobblehead.
Nice.
2 Super Bowl rings. I don't know if you can see that.
Really that's cool.
So it was cool. And I will say the ceremony was very cool. It was very fun.
Did they give them out to the fans, or did you have to buy that?
Nope. They were the first 25,000 fans, I believe.
Oh, nice.
To enter the stadium. So luckily I got myself one. Game was terrible, but I got to tell you, I mean, you got to see, you got to be there for halftime. That's what's important. That's all I cared about.
Yeah.
I mean, winning would have been nice, but I'll say this. Like I said, the game stunk itself. It was terrible. It was a pitiful loss, and they looked terrible. But with that said, the game was really fun. And the halftime, I got to tell you, growing up watching Eli, that's my guy. He's my Derek Jeter for football. Right, he's my guy that I grew up watching. He was my favorite person, and to see him out there was awesome. And the fans, I'll talk about that in a minute because that was amazing. But
he followed up his halftime Hall of Fame, type of thing.
But hold on, John, the fans, that was the best part. I mean, the stadium erupted. I couldn't hear a word he said for half of it because people were just so excited. So. We'll talk about the games in a minute, and I know it was not good, but I will say it was heartwarming. It almost brought a tear to my eye. I was so happy. It was great to see him just get the recognition that he deserves. And I know there are a lot of fans that say, "Oh, Eli stunk all these years," and it was nice to see him just have one moment for him, really just to himself, and it was really cool. And I'm not sure if you saw. After he gave a speech, they actually had Plaxico Burress on the field and David Tyree. Not Plaxico Burress, Mario Manningham and David Tyree. And they reenacted his two best throws. The Manningham sideline and the Tyree helmet catch. It was really pretty awesome. And all the people that were on the field were wearing 10 jerseys for him. It was a very cool ceremony. So, and then to Mr. Mizek, this might have been my favorite thing I've ever seen Eli do. Was Eli flipped off the camera twice. He gave the double bird off. This is, of course, not my middle finger. I'm not actually flipping off, but that's what he did. Look, you might want to call it unprofessional, but man, was it funny. It was hysterical. Funny. I mean, that's what makes that broadcast so
I'm glad my child wasn't watching that because that was unprofessional, and it's a family network.
Funny.
Okay, you're not watching the
something
Eli
we wouldn't do here on Sideline Sports.
But you're not watching funny. Eli and Peyton for a professional broadcast. If that is the case, you're watching the regular ESPN channel with Mike Tirico.
Well, if you're on ESPN, I expect a little bit more out of that.
Right, but it's ESPN too, so their job is to have some fun with it. And I will say, he has some fun with it.
Yeah, I still think it's like watching paint dry.
Well, you have.
I'm the only one in the world, but I don't like it. I don't care for the Eli and
that's
Peyton
fine, John. But
you
are basically on your own with that one, I think.
Yeah,
and that's fine. But that was very funny, and I was going to bring that up later, but that was one of my favorite things I have ever seen in my entire life. That was
all right, guys. So we're gonna just bring Coach Scott Fields in real quick. He just wanted to come in for a second. He is. How you doing, Coach?
Doing well, brother. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Certainly.
Yeah, so Coach Fields has his show on the DBNA network. He's been on there for a while. He wanted to stop by, tell us a little bit about the network and his show, and welcome us to the team.
Yeah.
How you doing today, Coach?
Take it away.
Doing well. I just finished an interview. It was phenomenal. A young man, Steve Serio, who just won a gold medal in wheelchair basketball at the Paralympics. And I just came away from that interview just now feeling so empowered and so uplifted. And I'll tell you what, it was just a fantastic interview. I can't wait for it to get onto the network to allow viewers and listeners to hear all the great things that he had to say. Wow.
That is awesome.
Very cool.
That's amazing.
Right?
Yeah, that's very cool.
Just the will to compete.
Amen. He had a mindset that was just phenomenal, and able-bodied people who paralyze themselves with fears and frustrations and, with doubt and negativity. And here you see a gentleman in a wheelchair who doesn't allow, those extrinsic, factors to, run his life. And it was just amazing to hear his story. And I feel so blessed and fortunate to have this platform, to have the Coach Scott Field Show, to allow people like that to share tools for people's toolbox, because it's just so inspirational and uplifting, fellas.
That's
awesome.
That's amazing. I don't even have like words for that, because I love stories like that, and I love that when people face adversity, they are able to overcome it and fight through it, and not let it define them.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
well, guys, thanks for having me on, and congratulations to you guys. You guys are grinders. You're out there putting quality content out there for viewers and listeners. So, welcome aboard, and it's going to be exciting to see the things that you guys continue to do and how you guys will evolve.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Coach.
No, man, that's big time, man. Welcome to the family.
Thank you. Happy to be part of it.
We're excited to be there. I've been holding this tight to my chest for a while.
Me too.
When we got to announce it, I was like, finally, I can tell everybody, like, this big secret, this weight's been lifted off my shoulders. I have family and friends texting me that are watching. They go, "You didn't even tell me." I go, "Look, I couldn't tell anybody." I go, "This was a secret." I go, "The only people that knew were the three of us and anybody that was in on it, working with us behind the scenes, but that was it." And there was basically nobody. I was like, "Oh my God, I just want to tell everybody." I was like, all day I'm thinking, I cannot wait for 8:30 to come around so I could just tell everybody, "Hey, we got this huge news," and we can tell everybody now. It is,
it's a phenomenal platform. The network continues to grow. The amount of viewership on a daily basis continues to evolve. I mean, you think Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, multiple platforms. So, the visibility and exposure that, you guys are going to be able to have with the content that you're out there sharing, I think is just wonderful. Congratulations for you guys, because again, I know you guys have been out there, doing your thing, and I've been watching from afar, and I know we've stayed in touch a little bit, but just excited for you, and to allow me to come on and be a part of this show and be a part of your announcement. I'm honored by that and humbled. Thank you.
And Coach is also part of our NBA Carousel show as well. He's also part of that as well.
I've had some great times coming on and kind of sharing some insight. Of course, I live in Salt Lake City, so talk a little bit about the Jazz, but to talk about, the entire league and what's going on, within the association, and see some of the, transactions that are going on, but to kind of, give a viewer a different perspective, because, me being on the bench for so many years, and, being able to be with, Coach Jerry Sloan out here, a Hall of Fame coach for 2 years. And then, Steph Curry, when he was just a rookie with the Golden State Warriors. I've been blessed and humbled, but I think we can share insights that a lot of people can't have because of the experience that I've had to, be on that bench and to be on the court with the highest level athletes. I kind of come with a different twist sometimes. Like you see Peyton and Eli right now on Monday Night Football on ESPN2. They share some things because, they've been in those shoes on the field. Well, I kind of feel like I can kind of share that same kind of insight because, I've been in those locker rooms. I've been on those benches. We've won championships. And so, for me, just to be able to share that knowledge, one man's candle does not burn out because you light another man's candle. And to see your guys' candle kind of blowing up right now, boom, baby, you guys are blowing up.
Well,
thank you.
So much,
I appreciate that.
We appreciate it. Yeah.
So what time and how can they find your show on the network?
I know recently it has changed because of his fall schedule.
Right.
We used to be on, I think it was like 3:00 Mountain Time, which was 1:00 Eastern Time. I think now that we may have moved up because, they got Roman Gabriel that's on. You got Tony Casillas that comes on. So, there's some big names with some great shows. You got Drew Pearson. I mean, and Ryan, you guys are right there on with all of us.
Yeah.
And what a unique, opportunity to, get on there and have this fraternity. And, there's a lot of talent, that's coming on. So gosh, you're right there with us. And I couldn't be more happy for a group of guys that comes out there and, lays it on the line.
It's funny.
Drew Pearson. I was just saying,
I got to interview. We got to interview him back in February, and then I got to I got to hang out with him when I went to Canton covering the Hall of Fame.
Yep,
I hung out with him.
got
I was
to
there
talk-
for his. I was
Yeah.
there for his speech. I was there behind the scenes before he got his gold jacket. I was standing right there with him and all the guys, Calvin Johnson, Jimmy Johnson, all of them. I was standing with all of them in a pile
It's
right
so
before they went up
crazy.
and got their gold jackets. So
Well,
I know all about Drew Pearson.
John, I was going to say, it's crazy. We think, we talked to Drew Pearson. I got to talk to him during the Hall of Fame ceremony stuff. And now we're joining a network that he's on. I mean,
Yep.
Who would have known that just, 2 months ago, maybe 3 months, not even, like 2 months ago, we're talking to him, we're interviewing him, we're just whatever. And now it's like, hey, we work with Drew Pearson technically. I mean, we're
been a
not
crazy
work
year.
directly with him, but we're all on one network. So we're all on the same team.
Hey,
It's
not
big
only are
family.
you rubbing elbows, you're with us.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
it's
crazy.
reality now, fellas. Here we go.
We're happy to be a part of it. Absolutely ecstatic.
Well deserved. Well deserved,
you.
fellas.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, Coach.
All right. We're going to get back to our regularly scheduled programming, I think, gentlemen. Coach,
Thank
thank
you
you.
for
Thank you for
Dr.
joining us.
Well,
Well,
like I'm saying,
definitely.
I wish I could have came on a little earlier, but I jumped on as soon as I could. And
That's okay.
wow, I just, thanks for the
Busy-
opportunity to come on and
Yeah, we'd love
share my follically challenged self with you guys.
we'd love to have you back sometime as well because
Yeah.
I'd love
Yes,
to talk
definitely.
basketball with you.
Hey, the
For
NBA
sure.
season camps are just starting up. They just had media day, so there's a lot of excitement. The landscapes have changed a little bit, so there's a lot of nuggets we could throw out there a little bit. We'd have to have
Absolutely.
McDonald's be a sponsor with all the nuggets we could drop.
Absolutely.
All right, Coach.
Have a good
Have
night.
a
Thank
great
you,
night,
guys.
guys. Hey,
Have a great night.
congratulations. Welcome to the family. I am
Thank
pumped.
you.
We're brothers.
Thank you,
Thank
brother.
you so much,
Have a
Coach.
good night.
Have a
See
good
ya.
night.
All right. Where were we? We're talking about the Giants, I think.
Yeah, you were talking about
the
Eli
Giants.
Manning and
Just it was a good moment. Like I said, really, Matt, thank you. You're definitely
yes, Matt was
Thank
one
you,
of the
Matt.
few that
He
knew
was-
before the
he
rest
was
of
one
you
of those
knew.
few that had to know for logistical purposes. But other than that, like I said, it was really close to the chest, and I was like, "Can I just start telling people,
Oh,
please?"
It was so hard.
Oh,
It was
that was
so hard.
It was one of the worst things I've ever had to keep from somebody. It was like I just want to tell everybody.
And
when
I
got the-
said recently, if you're not on board the Sideline
Sideline
Sports
Sports
bandwagon,
train,
you're going to be missing out because
Yeah.
this is only the beginning.
But like I said, I
I
got
just-
texts from people saying, "You didn't tell me. How could you not have told me this?" I'm like, "Look, I couldn't tell people. I was told not to tell anybody. This was a big secret. It was something exciting for the three of us. It was a moment we were going to get to. When we got to it, we got to it. I'm
Not
sorry,
just the
I
three of us,
couldn't-
but our network.
course,
I mean,
of
this is
course.
really
But-
big for our
but-
network
but
in
when
general.
I say that, I mean it
Yeah.
was the three of us were the only ones that
Yeah.
really knew. I was like, I can't tell
Yeah.
anybody. I'm sorry. It's kind of like I didn't sign an NDA, but I might as well have. That it's just like, look, I can't say a word until somebody gives me the go ahead.
And just think about the place we're going, how great it is that, one of their hosts that's there already. I mean, granted, we have a relationship with Coach, but he took a few minutes from his schedule tonight after
Yep.
finishing up a show to stop by and congratulate us. That just shows a lot about the people we're going to be working with and the network we're going to be on. I'm proud to be a part of it.
Oh,
Yep.
absolutely. I am beyond excited. All right. Enough about this, though. I could go on about it literally all night. I mean,
But we have a sports show to
we
do.
have a sports show we still have to do. I mean, we
Yep.
got an hour's worth of Greg Pryor, which was fantastic. But we still got to wrap up this whole past week in sport. We're going to be here for probably another half hour, 45 minutes at least, wrapping stuff up, guys.
So we gotta
There's a
we gotta
lot to
speed
get
this
back
up.
to. So back to Giants. JB, what were you talking about it? Because you were talking about 0-6. We're terrible. I know. We all think.
So we got these two New York teams, and to me it was overreaction Monday morning because they were saying, "Oh, Justin Fields was horrible. He shouldn't be the starter."
I'll talk about that. in a
Real
minute.
football
So-
fans are.
So I watched the
think
Bears game, and I watched ESPN Monday morning. I was sick to my stomach every time I heard somebody criticize the poor kid. He got killed with no tight end in blocking, horrible offensive line work.
I think it was terrible game planning. I mean, yes, I will go over that about the Giants in a moment because I don't disagree with that.
And it was like
but-
overreaction Monday. But
Just-
but their talks about the Jets and the Giants was actual factual. It was horrible.
Yeah,
They just are disgusting. When you have the
Right.
owner of the Giants saying that fans should be booing, that they're just not playing well. No kidding, they're not playing well. Let's fix it. Get rid of
I
Gettleman.
mean, honestly,
Yeah,
let me give you a perspective on things. I will run down the schedule, and I'm not kidding when I say there are maybe 3 or 4 games that I could particularly pick out that I say we have a chance. Not that we're going to win, meaning we have a chance. Because the first 3 games were Broncos, Washington, Falcons. We should be at least 2-1, if not 3-0 in those games, because those were all winnable games. Because now I'm going to list all the teams, and please stop me.
You still play the NFC least, so you're going to win some games.
Of course. But please point out a game where you think we actually will win, because I don't see really any. Saints, going to lose. Cowboys, going to lose. Rams, going to lose. The way the Panthers are playing.
How can you? Whoa, hold on. You're a Giants fan. How can you fold to the Cowboys that easily? Where's your fight?
Because they're playing very good football.
It doesn't matter. Division games are a little bit different. You know that.
The way it breaks down, whenever you do a team's record, you always assume you split the division games.
Yep.
Unless you're the worst team ever, the 0-16 Lions.
That's fine. But I'm being realistic here that we're not going to win many games.
You're a Giants fan. You can't concede to the dirty Cowboys.
That game is also in Dallas. So I don't know. If we're going to win one of the games, we're going to
play it in New York.
Right. So we'll get to that. Panthers, we're not winning that the way they're playing. Chiefs at Kansas City, absolutely no shot in a million years. That is one of the Monday night games we play this year.
That's a Monday night game?
Yep. Yeah. And hold on.
Oh my
it gets
goodness.
better because, hold on. The next week we play the Raiders, and I think we're going to lose that where they're playing. We get a week off, and then November 22nd at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday night, we're going to lose again. Okay, at home.
I don't know how you guys have so many Monday night games. I really don't get it.
I don't understand.
At home against the Eagles, we might have a chance. Maybe. And I'm not counting them out. But again, that's one of my maybes. So that's one maybe. At the Dolphins, we're absolutely losing that. I'm going to be honest,
Thank
John.
you.
I admit you guys are a better team. Even without Tua, it doesn't matter. I believe you guys are a better team.
Yeah.
The Chargers at LA, absolutely not. Okay. So now we're at home against the Cowboys. We have a chance in that. I don't know that we will win it, but I'll give us a chance. Fine.
What about the games against Washington?
Hold on. That's the last game of the season.
We've already proved we could have beat them.
Hold on. So Eagles at the Eagles, I don't think we're going to win that. If we're going to win a game against the Eagles, it's going to be at home, not on the road. At the Bears, we're going to lose that too, probably. Why? Because we're just that bad. Even though Matt Nagy is a terrible coach.
Oh, he's awful.
We are that bad that we can't win games.
He might be more incompetent than Adam Gase.
Then we play the last game of the season, Washington at home. So there is maybe 3 games that I truly believe we even have a chance. Maybe I'll put the Bears on there to give us 4. Gentlemen, there are 4 games the Giants could win. They already lost 3 games that they could have or should have won. This is why I say, when I see 0-17 as a possibility, I'm not going to sit here and say it's impossible because, honestly, we look terrible. We have not done anything right. If the defense shows up, the offense doesn't. If the offense shows up, the defense doesn't. If both show up, they don't show up enough to win the game, apparently.
Chibi, okay.
What?
Wow. I am just looking at Mr. Clutch right now.
What? Are you watching the Yankee game?
Freddie Freeman?
Yeah. No, Mr. Clutch.
The G-Man, I guess you're ahead of me, but I know what he's about to do. Let me guess. 3-run home run? Oh, yep. He is. Oh, that is crushed. We'll talk baseball more, but yeah, he's on fire too. Like I said, there's a lot to unpack, gentlemen.
Well, I mean, the Giants really just, like I said, they're not going to be good until they get rid of Gettleman, and they can really start building this roster once he goes, because his vision is not right. It's not good vision. Whatever it is, it's not good football. I mean, let's just face it.
The Giants will do the Giants thing. Come December and November, we'll win useless games that we have no business winning, and our draft pick will go higher and higher. So the numbers go 7, 8, 10, and that'll be it. We won't climb any further where we can win a division.
Right, we'll just sit in the same spot that we usually do.
Yeah, it's every year. We're terrible. We have no business winning games.
Oh.
And we don't get better. So you know what? Forget the Giants. Until they get rid of Gettleman, I'm looking for a new team.
It's like the
Jets
Bears with
Pace
and Nagy.
The Jets quarterback doesn't look good. I mean, Zach Wilson looks terrible. So you want to talk about the struggles of the New York teams, and I put quotes on that because we're really New Jersey, but that's fine. They look terrible. I mean,
nobody's talking about Mac Jones looking really bad. I mean, he looked really bad against the Saints.
Yeah, but I don't think
if we're talking rookie quarterbacks, he looked terrible.
I'm going to be honest with you. Has any rookie quarterback looked good yet?
No.
I mean,
I don't count Fields because, I mean, you can't count that.
You can't count that yet. That was horrible.
Any football fan knows.
Hold on. I'll tell you why Justin Fields didn't look good. And I'm putting quotes around that because he didn't look bad. But people
Matt Nagy put him in a terrible
because
position.
Matt Nagy is the worst coach I have probably ever seen.
He might be worse than Adam Gase.
I think he is because his game planning was terrible.
No, it wasn't game planning. He wanted to fail.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't think I've ever seen Gase put somebody in a position to get injured or, get crushed like that. Gase just was a bad coach.
There was no excuse. He didn't like Trubisky. Listen, I like Mitch Trubisky. We can go through the tapes of all last year.
Yeah,
I like him. He's not a great quarterback, but he's
a backup. So anyway, yeah.
But he was better than Foles. He gives your team a better chance to win.
Yeah.
You get Fields in. Better than Dalton, no question about it. If you game plan for him, Nagy does not want this kid to succeed. We saw this last year. That's
what I mean when I say the game planning. He doesn't want him in there, so he's intentionally.
No,
that's what. Yeah,
I've never seen a head coach in the NFL make a game plan so his quarterback will fail.
Well, not only that, but he said at the beginning of the season, Andy Dalton's our guy if healthy. Andy Dalton started. Then he got hurt. Then he went with Justin Fields because Andy Dalton's hurt. Then this week, right, the day after the game, yesterday, he was like, "Oh, now it's a 3-person competition. Dalton's healthy. Justin Fields is a little banged up, and now Nick Foles is somehow in the fold. Even though you said Andy Dalton's our guy if healthy, but then you went Justin Fields. Now you're saying it's a 3-man rotation. Who knows? It's whoever wins the job, going into week 4. What the hell are you doing?
I hate calling for people's
jobs.
I hate calling for people's jobs. He needs to go. He needs to be gone last week.
I mean, it's not even that he's a terrible coach. You're going to get people hurt.
I would like to point this out, too. This may be one of, if not the worst offensive line performances I've ever seen.
Look at the Dolphins.
Sacks? Do you know how many? No. John, do you know how many sacks there were in this game? 9. Exactly.
You know how many yards passing
terrible. They had
how many
1
yards
net yard.
1 yard passing.
1 yard.
By the way, Matt Nagy, you, sir, are out of order.
Yes.
How many rushing yards did they have?
46.
I don't even think it was that many. I think it was 44 or 45.
No, I'm looking at it. 46 yards. I'm looking at the stats. They had 47 yards.
47 yards of offense.
Yep.
I mean,
and the Browns, hold on. The Browns, 418 total yards, 203 passing, and 215 rushing.
And we know Chicago has a better defense than that.
Absolutely.
We know that, but the position Matt Nagy's putting all of his players in, I mean, like I said, not only is it bad football, but when you do stuff like that, you play around with people's jobs, their money, and you play around with their careers, whether they get hurt or not. There's all types of things that you're putting on the line, you're taking into your hands. You have that kind of power as the head coach of this football team, the organization, and you're doing that. You, sir, deserve to lose your job. And I don't say that much about, like you said, I don't say that about people because that's your money, that's your life. But in this instance, you need to go. Like, you need to get out.
This is where I draw the line because he not only coached poorly and game planned badly, it's seemingly intentional.
Yep.
And the performance on the field, you don't get that unless that is probably on purpose. I don't think somebody accidentally just by dumb luck basically coaches that poorly. I don't think that happens.
I throw out the challenge. Matt Nagy, if you have any reason to defend yourself, come out here. Come out here next week. We do the show Tuesday night. You're free.
We'll accommodate you. I will make special arrangements to make sure I can talk to you about this.
We will do the show 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Matt Nagy. I want to know how you could justify what you do. How there's not anybody else that deserves your job because you are horrible.
I mean, this kid Fields is a nice. He's a nice young kid, and you're willing to do that to him and put him in that kind of position.
And he's got some true talent.
He's got some talent.
He has some absolutely raw talent for sure.
And hopefully he's able to learn, like take something from this and learn for his own self.
I know what I'd learn. Run.
Hopefully he's able to. Because I mean, there's growing pains, but that was just not fair to put him in that kind of position.
No, and then to see ESPN dog on Monday morning.
That's so classless and bush league.
It's just such an easy thing. It's so easy to blame him, but it's not his fault.
The gold standard in sports reporting you're supposed to be, right? You're the guys we're talking about.
Yep. Keep in mind you have guys double flipping off during national broadcasts.
That's the other guys actually.
You're gonna have the nerve. You're gonna have the nerve to say it's Justin Fields' fault that the Bears' offense was no good. Get out of here! You guys are out of order.
They're tone deaf.
You have no business reporting about games. That's it. You're done. Because that was disgusting. When I saw that, it was overreaction Monday all day. There was that. I was like, oh, I was so frustrated. I wish we were doing the show yesterday morning, watching the headlines.
Some people just don't know how to talk football. Some people don't know the nuances of the game of football, and clearly whoever was talking and whoever's producing that,
writing. I
mean, writing that, all that stuff, you don't know your football, and you just need to not talk football. Leave it to the people that know what they're talking about.
I mean,
like us.
I'm not saying I know everything, but I mean, it's clearly just I didn't even watch the game. That's the funny part. I couldn't have watched the game. I wasn't even home to watch it, but I saw enough plays. I saw enough highlights. I saw enough information from this game because I, of course, checked up on it and did my research before the show because you guys know I got to know. But the point is, I saw enough without watching the full game to know there is no way in a million years anybody other than Matt Nagy could be blamed right now. I mean,
yeah, and you let Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney tee off. Like those are two big men.
Myles Garrett
really
had 4.5
big men.
sacks, which is, I believe,
and Clowney had 2
for the Browns. Single season.
It was
single game record.
Absolutely disgusting.
I mean,
Matt Nagy.
Myles Garrett, good for him because he's a great player. I mean, he is one of the top.
Maybe put Matt Nagy and Dave Gettleman on like an island together, and they can coach some team on an island. They can coach Bishop Sycamore together, like
John,
coach a GM.
Hold on, you know what I would really love to do? Put Gettleman and Nagy as the players on the field alone.
There we go. That's fun.
And Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett get to just bum rush them for 6 minutes straight. We'll do 30 minutes because it's kind of like, half.
Oh, they won't last that long.
No, but I'm just saying the offense is on half the time, the defense is on half the time, so they won't be on all the time.
I think it'll be a forfeit after one play.
So we'll do 30 minutes. We'll give them 30 minutes. Right? They're the offense. Those two are the defense. We'll give them 30 minutes with them. I would love to watch. I would pay any amount of money because they both deserve to be absolutely obliterated for these stupid, decisions and ways that they coach and act,
Matt
and talk,
Nagy,
whatever.
Anybody in the Chicago area that has any talk with the Bears organization, start tweeting about on Twitter. Sideline Sports 1. We're here, Matt Nagy. Defend yourself.
We're listening.
I've never listened. Gary Bettman listens.
Yes, he does.
We know that happens. So make sure, Matt Nagy, when you listen to this tomorrow morning and you see it on Twitter, bring it. I'm ready. I want to have a conversation with you.
I will sit down and talk all day. Come on. Other NFL news, though, Justin Tucker. Did you guys see that play? Wow. I mean, talk about skill.
Talk about shouldn't have happened.
Hold on. Let's talk about skill and luck all in one.
Talk about shouldn't have happened.
So are the Lions that cursed, though? I mean, that's my question.
The Ravens got lucky. Really lucky.
Really lucky.
Usually when someone gets really lucky, the other team kind of has really bad luck. So
no, this was the refs missing stuff. First of all.
I don't know. It's just, congratulations for Tucker. That's still an amazing feat.
Regardless, I'll say, that was one heck of a field goal. I have never seen.
I disagree.
Wild.
John Misick said that Jared Goff is not very good. Actually, I think Jared Goff's played really well overall for the Lions. Yeah. He's played a lot better than I've expected him to this year. And that Lions team is competing, and they're fighting hard for Dan Campbell. I have to give it to Dan Campbell and the players. Like, they're fighting. They're playing their butts off, and they're not lying down. They may be 0-3,
was that pun unintentional?
No, that was not intentional.
I don't know. Last week they looked awful, though. They looked awful against Green Bay.
They were up 17-14 at half. Like, how many times does a team like Detroit lead Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau at the half on Monday Night Football?
I gotta say this.
Okay, but if you're going to defend the coach.
This reminds me of when they had Stafford. They don't look that different for the most part.
Right,
they look good for part of the game.
And you're up at the half, you can't get blown out.
Yeah, but I mean, the talent just isn't there for them to be competing with real teams, but they're fighting. Like, they're not giving up. And I got to give credit to them.
Yes.
We know there's not much talent there, but at least they're competing, and they're trying. And they're doing a lot better than I expected. I mean, they could have easily got that Ravens game. I expected them to get blown up by 4 touchdowns because, I mean, the Ravens are just way better than them. Lamar Jackson should have done a lot better than that. There's no reason the Ravens should be toying around like that.
I agree.
There's no reason the line should be up at half at Lambeau on Monday Night Football against Aaron Rodgers by 3 points. There's no reason. There's no reason the Niners should barely beat the Lions.
I agree.
This game still gives me agita. I lost a 14 parlay thanks to the Lions.
That's why you're upset. Gosh, it's always back to JB's bets.
I want to bring something. I want to bring something back up. So at the beginning of the season, we talked about MVP candidates, and I told you both, and you both thought, especially you, John, thought I was nuts. Now it's only been 3 weeks. I'm talking about only through 3 weeks. I said Matt Stafford would be a legitimate dark horse.
I didn't say you were nuts.
Oh, you sure did.
I told you how I feel about that. JB is the one that doesn't like Stafford.
With you.
I love Stafford.
John actually agreed with you.
Okay.
And I
it was JB that
I think he's a top 5 quarterback.
Then John, I take that back.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. A top 5? No.
I just muted him. He didn't even get you out of order for that one. He was just muted.
But anyway, back to what I wanted to say. So Matt Stafford, through 3 weeks, has been arguably a top 5 quarterback this season.
He destroyed Brady.
Not overall. I'm talking about right now for only the season. He is a top 5 quarterback, and I could argue that.
If the Bucs can't stop him, who can?
He has played out of his mind. He has been phenomenal. That offense is absolutely insane. So this is some of the best football I've ever seen him play.
If besides the division, because we know how division games go, outside of that division, who's going to stop the Rams when they play the Rams? Outside of the division,
I will look their schedule.
We know how that goes, but the other games that they have remaining, who's going to beat them?
Cardinals and Seahawks, we're going to skip because those are division games.
Yeah.
We're just skipping over
out of division games.
Yep. So we'll skip those. Giants, absolutely not.
Nope.
Lions, absolutely not.
Giants win 32-28.
No.
Not.
You are absolutely insane.
You're out of order, sir.
And for that, you're out of order, sir. The Giants are going to get absolutely obliterated in that game. So let's just name, I'm going to count on my fingers all the games I believe they'll win out, not including division.
Yeah.
Giants, crushed.
Yep.
Lions, crushed. Texans, crushed. Titans, I think they still win that.
So you get the Giants, Lions, and Texans?
Yep. I believe they beat the Titans.
What is that?
I believe with their offense they beat the Titans, and their run defense will stop Derrick Henry. So I believe
that'll be tough.
It's going to be a good game, but I believe they'll win that.
That's going to be a good game.
49ers, offensively, I don't think they can match up.
Division game, though.
All right,
fair. All right, fine. Correct. Packers, I think that's a game they could lose. That's a game.
Depends on where it's at.
It is in Green Bay, I believe.
Okay, that'd be interesting.
So I'm picking games I'm guaranteeing like they are going to win. Jags,
what week is that?
I don't know. It's November 28th. I'm not looking back.
It could be snow. Could be snow.
The Jags at home, LA at home,
gosh,
absolutely obliterate them.
Jalen Ramsey revenge game.
Skip the Cardinals, skip the Seahawks. Vikings gonna get crushed. Ravens will be a good game. It's at Baltimore, and then they finish.
That's going to be a tough game because If it's
So
a
hold
1
on.
o'clock game, that's going to be a tough game.
They're
So
currently
they'll lose.
So they're 3-0. They beat the Giants to go 4-0, Lions 5-0, Texans and Titans. I'm saying they win. So
Not
that's
sure
7.
about that. That could go iffy.
Well, we'll see. I'm saying they win. So let's call it a win for now. 7. Then we skip 49ers. Packers, they might lose. So that's 7.
I think that's a loss.
And I'm again excluding all divisions. So 7-1.
Yep.
Jags 8-1. Skip Cardinals and Seahawks. Vikings, that's 9-1. And then Ravens,
Loss.
maybe they lose.
I think they lose that.
So that's 9-2. They only need to win 2 or 3 division games.
3 games, yeah.
Yeah. So they're looking at
Well,
11.
necessarily,
Because they'll
because you wanna
split the
get-
division.
That's
you wanna
pretty good.
You want to get home field advantage, so you want to do better
Of
than that
course.
if you're going to be.
But I'm just saying, they're looking at a playoff
But
team.
minimum is what
easily.
we're saying. Minimum
Oh, yeah.
12.
We're saying
Oh, yeah.
minimum. I mean,
Easily.
if they win, so we excluded. So let's see. We excluded 1, 2.
And this is without much of a running game.
But
The
hold on,
running backs
hold
are
on.
Very injured.
We excluded
Hold on,
actually. We
JB.
excluded basically every. Hold on. We excluded every single in division game. So that's actually, let's say they split that because that's 8 games that they are.
6 games in the division.
Yeah, so 3 more wins. 3 more wins. Correct. That's
Okay.
pretty good. And they may win more than that.
So the Packers game really could decide who gets first seed. Because they already beat the Bucks, so they already have head-to-head in that. So
Yeah,
if
they
they
don't
beat
wanna
the
go to-
Packers.
They don't want to go to Green Bay. No,
And
that,
you
wanna
don't
go to Green Bay
want
to
you don't
play.
want to play Tom Brady in Tampa. You want Tom
No.
Brady to play on the road against you. Because we saw what happened this past Sunday when Tom Brady went to LA. He got his butt kicked. So
But this
yeah,
goes to prove
really
my
the
point,
Green
though.
Bay game could decide home
This
field.
really goes to prove my point, which was my dark horse MVP thing. Matt Stafford, with good players around him, is an incredible quarterback.
I gotta
And he
be
has an
honest.
extremely large amount of talent, and they're finally getting to see it.
I gotta be honest.
Kyler Murray.
I didn't even know Deshaun Jackson was still
Yeah.
that fast. I watched him play against the Bucks, and I was like,
he is a jet.
is this guy 25 years old? Like,
Yeah.
hey, this guy's 35, I think, 34, 35, and he runs like
He looks-
that. I'm
he looks
like,
very good.
I'm
for his
like,
age.
what?
Yes.
That was insane.
That was very impressive. I agree. But I mean, just that offense is absolutely wild.
And the
Wild.
defense shut down Tom Brady and the
That
Bucks.
defense is great.
Like, whoa.
Well, the defense was never a question with
No,
the
but
Right.
but to do that against Tom Brady in that offense,
that's
like
impressive.
that's impressive.
And they look very good. So
You know
that's why I told you this is a team that has a chance
I'm
at a
gonna-
championship right now.
Listen, I'm
They
going
have
to
a
say it
chance.
this
It's gonna
way.
be hard. The playoffs are
I
going to be
am
a
not
tough
going
road.
to. I'm not going to say because they beat the Bucks in week 3 that I'm thinking that they did something great. None of
They
these
didn't just
teams-
beat them; they manhandled them. They were up by 17 in the second half, late in the second half. That game
Week
was a
3
lot
is not-
closer than.
I'm not looking at a signature win in week 3.
But the
signature
thing
wins
is-
to me in mid-season. Too many things at the beginning of the year happen. Listen, it's a bad loss for Tampa. Yes, you want to come out and win this game, but they're the Super Bowl champion, so everyone's going to give them their best shot. That's automatic once you're the Super Bowl champs. Secondly, it's week 3. You got Tom Brady. I hate to say it, but they're going to be there at the end of the year. We
Well,
already
yeah.
know that.
We're not denying that.
So
We're not denying that they'll be there at the end of the year. We're just saying, look, it's impressive to beat Tom Brady. And in the fashion that he
And-
did, the way that the team played was impressive, no matter what time of year it is.
It looks like the Bucks don't have it versus Rams. Like they just can't match that physicality, and they didn't even have
Yeah,
Darrell
week 3.
Henderson. Like they didn't
Week
even have
3.
Darrell Henderson to run the ball. They had Sony Michel, former Patriot, former teammate of Tom Brady. So I
Look,
just thought
it's-
that matchup wise, the
still
Bucks
early,
just don't match
so
up well.
It's still early, so I'm not freaking out and saying, "Oh my God, this is great" or "This is terrible." I'm just saying this: they look very good. They look incredible
do.
so far, and there's
do.
no
I'm
denying that.
I'm just not giving beating Tampa a huge amount of deal. I don't know.
How
credit
not?
right now.
Who
because
else
it's
is
too
going to
early in
beat
the season.
Tampa this year?
It's too early in the season. Come back at me for a later signature win. They'll have chances. When they play Green Bay, they win that game the same way. Then I'm on board because it's later in the season. Week 3, I'm not big deal. The Chiefs are 1-2. Am I thinking their season's over? By watching ESPN, I am, because that's another overreaction.
Because they're hitting the panic button.
Yeah, but who stomps Tom Brady by 17 late in the second half?
The Chiefs are garbage. They haven't been to the last 2 Super Bowls and won one, and then to how many championships?
But nobody's
games
blown out the Chiefs. Nobody's blowing out the Chiefs. Like Chiefs barely lost because Mahomes threw 2 stupid passes and Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbled against the Ravens. If Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't fumble and Mahomes doesn't throw a no-look pass that bounces off and becomes an interception in the second half of that game's probably different. And the Chiefs are probably 3-0. I'm just saying, you don't turn the ball over, which is uncharacteristic of the Chiefs.
Again, if you're watching that Disney Network, you're saying, and I'm telling you, Monday morning, the Chiefs are done. They're in trouble.
I don't think they're done.
And Justin Fields is bad at playing quarterback in the NFL because this is, overreaction Monday. I can't wait to see next week's cakes because this week I was like, are you kidding me? It's week 3. It's week 3. We got 17 games. Yes, big win for the Rams. Glad to see it. I like to see somebody different.
It really goes a long way for home field too because of that head-to-head. They have a tiebreaker over the Bucs.
It is big for home field, but I'm not sold on it yet. When they get to the Green Bay game, then we'll talk.
And there's only one bye. And remember that.
That's true. Look, I'm just saying, Matt Stafford, if he's going to keep this up, he's got a real shot at MVP. So if there's anybody out there looking to place bets, I'd start placing them now.
Yep.
Because this is the time where the odds are going to start changing. They're changing all the time, but they're especially going to start changing in his favor at the moment. You might want to try and get them while the odds are still in your favor to get a good payout. Because Matt Stafford, him and Kyler Murray and Tom Brady are my top 3 candidates.
What do you think
right now?
What do you think? You're Rafael Esperanza? I like sports.
Hey, I'm just saying. Look, are you either of you going to disagree with me that probably right now top 3 MVP candidates would be Tom Brady, Kyler Murray, Matt Stafford. I think those are all fair.
I would not disagree much at all with you right now.
And that's why I say, look, especially for Tom Brady for MVP, don't bet on it only because if you're looking to make a lot of money, sometimes you play.
You're also going to throw Josh Allen into the conversation a little bit too.
Fair.
The way he started out.
I'm talking about top 3 right now.
Yeah, he only struggled. He only struggled for the first 2 weeks, and then he destroyed Washington.
My other point is this: I'm talking about guys with good odds. Probably, Josh Allen probably had not such great odds in terms of winning a lot of money. He had high odds to win it, but if you're trying to make a lot of money, you want lower odds. So I'm saying Matt Stafford, of those guys, probably had the lowest odds to actually win, which is good if he does win.
Stafford definitely would.
Right, and so that's why I say the way he's playing, he really does have a shot. Place your bets now where his odds are still lower than the other guys, and he's got a legitimate shot at that MVP title because he looks really, really good.
Right now,
and I know it's only 3 weeks.
Murray's plus 700. He's the favorite right now, according to Vegas Insider. Mahomes is 800, Brady's 800, Stafford's 800, Allen's 900 as of today. So there you go.
So, but that stands my point. He might continue to go up, but plus 800, that's pretty good. It sounds good to me. And I think he's your front runner right now. It's very possible.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's definitely worth it. I don't see, if you got money and you're into betting, it's definitely a good at that.
Yeah.
Now, some other games that were good this weekend. Off the top of my head, the Raiders.
That was a wild game. I'd messaged Phil Jones, who is on the NFL Carousel, covers the Raiders. He's a diehard Raiders fan. I said, I hope the Dolphins and Raiders never play again because every time they play, it's like a heart attack for the both of us. Like nerves are shot, and these two teams play the wildest matchups you can think of. Like that's just straight heart attack for the both of us when we watch the Raiders and Dolphins. Because you think about last year, the Ryan Fitzpatrick game, and then this game. I
remember that. I forgot about that game, but now that you say it, I know exactly what you're talking about. That was when you had that wild that
Thursday night game or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't remember what the pass looked like, but I remember it was like
or like grabbed Fitzpatrick's face mask.
Falling right. He was falling back. His face mask was being pulled, and he still made the pass.
Like a 60-yard pass or
That's
something.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about. I do remember that now.
Just a while.
That's crazy.
What was it? 4th and 20 the Dolphins had?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 4th and 20 this past Sunday. Yeah.
I'm watching the game, and I'm not even actually watching it. I'm in the car. I'm looking at the app because it's the last game going on. And I'm like, oh, the game's over. 4th and 20. First down. Like, what the heck? I was just in shock.
I got to say, Jacoby Brissett deserves a lot of credit for going out there and playing the way he did.
He played really hard.
It's not easy. I mean, and I'm not going to disagree with this comment. I mean, and I'm not making fun of Tua. I'm just saying Brissett really did look.
No, they had a good game, a decent game plan for.
No, I'm just saying
for what they wanted to do.
Looked really good.
They didn't fix the offensive line. They moved guys around in different positions this week, which made a big difference in them being able to block a little bit better. They moved guys around. They benched a couple guys. That's what they needed to do. They still have a lot of issues along that line. They still have a problem with offensive play calling because Jalen Waddle set the record for least amount of receiving yards with that many catches in NFL history. He's the first player to have under 100 yards with that many catches in NFL history. And he's the first player to record a safety on that type of play while receiving the ball like that. He's the first player.
Like making an actual reception.
Yep. So
it's a gain technically in yardage.
Yep.
And he still got a safety.
Yeah.
Speaking of safeties, it's not a safety, but longest play in NFL history this week. What was it, 109 yards?
9 yards.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why they went for that field goal.
Well, Matt Prater has a big leg, but yeah.
I know, but still, I mean, even with Justin Tucker, I don't know if I'm kicking that far. I mean, I know Justin Tucker kicked, 66?
He got really lucky.
But that was 68, I want to say?
68 for Prater, yeah.
Yeah. So that was well beyond his bounds, probably. I mean, and that's nothing on Prater. I don't even think that Justin Tucker could make that. I mean, and I say that because we saw 66 and he just got it. I mean,
he got lucky.
Lucky bounce. Absolutely, a lucky bounce.
I mean, the way I look at it is, what are the odds of them getting it or running it back? And the coverage team. Listen, just because you're on the field goal team, you got to still cover.
It's all linemen. It's basically all linemen.
It doesn't matter. You've got to cover. If you're on the special teams, you've got to be able to cover.
Special teams, it's all big guys that aren't going to chase down Jamal Agnew, who's one of the fastest guys in football.
No, but the problem is they didn't have to chase him down. There were plenty of times to tackle him, and they just missed.
When you're a big lineman, you're not tackling Jamal Agnew.
First lesson, contain. If they had contained, that's not a problem. Anybody that's played any football or been around any football practice, that's the first lesson.
They had their opportunities to take him down. They just didn't.
Yeah, that guy's fast, though. He's really fast.
I'm not disagreeing.
Think of Tyreek Hill type of fast.
I'm not saying they're going to catch him. Don't think I'm saying that. But if they had the coverage correctly, no question, it would have been a touchdown.
Agreed.
So I don't disagree with the coach taking a shot like that. I don't like it, but I don't disagree with it.
They're lucky they won that game because that could be a devastating loss.
Yeah.
That would have been horrible.
That would have been bad.
Any other NFL news this weekend?
I feel like there is probably, but we're definitely missing it, which is fine.
There's a lot, yeah.
It was a big week.
It was a huge week. I do want to talk a couple of minutes of baseball before we wrap up.
Go right ahead.
I got to talk about, the guy who's the hottest hitter of baseball right now.
The G-Man.
I mean, he owns Fenway Park. I think that they presented it to him Sunday night. Now he's in Toronto. He's, starting to get the Rogers Center. He's going to acquire all the ballparks like it's Monopoly.
Giancarlo looks good and at the right time.
10 RBIs up in Boston over the weekend. I think the only other Yankees to ever have done that were guys you never heard of. Ruth, Mantle, Eric, I believe, were the names.
Who are these guys? I've never heard of them.
Never heard of such players. Came through tonight with another huge home run. Yankees went from 2 games back before the weekend to up a game on Boston.
They're up a game right now. They're technically up 2 games because I counted as they're up 1 game on Boston, but up 2 games on Toronto. With tonight, they'll go up another game.
Right, and I mean, with only 5 to go, if they could pull one more out of Toronto this week,
the Orioles beat the Red Sox tonight as well.
Oh, thank God!
4-2.
That is.
Let's go.
This is probably, as a Yankees fan, the best scenario we could ask for.
We always do this to the Red Sox.
We're winning tonight, and the Red Sox lose. That means everybody we needed to lose loses. The Blue Jays will fall back an extra game. The Red Sox fall a game behind us, and we move a game up. I mean,
this is about almost a 10-year anniversary of the Robert Andino play. I don't know if you remember that, where it was basically the last game of the season. The Red Sox needed to win, and Robert Andino for us, I believe in 2011, hit a walk-off, I think RBI double to knock the Red Sox out of the playoff contention, last game of the season. And they didn't make the playoffs, and they were so mad. Red Sox fans hated us, and it was fantastic. I mean, just the tears from Red Sox fans. I mean, it's fantastic.
Good, as they should.
Yeah,
but I mean, I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch Sunday's 9 p.m. that 7th and 8th inning.
I was watching football.
Right. If you ever want to see
the highlights. I wasn't
an inning of baseball that was crazy as anything. Red Sox down 2-1, bottom of the 7th. Pop up to third, foul territory, misplayed. Fly ball to Gallo in left field, misplayed. Red Sox take a 3-2 lead. Top of the 8th. Judge, foul tip, should be a strikeout, drops the ball on the transfer.
See that. Yep.
Then he hits a fly ball that should have been caught. It drops. And then after that, the floodgates opened up, and Stanton did Stanton. Rizzo had a huge double. You know, it was just a crazy 1 inning of baseball. It was really fun to watch as a Yankee fan.
Yeah. And if there was ever a time for them to get hot, this is it. And look, we'll see what happens. I'm not, counting my chickens before they hatch. I understand that. But like I said, if they were going to get hot, this was the time, and they look fantastic. I mean, they look phenomenal. So, Is there anything else that we wanted to talk about, guys? I mean, I know this has been a very long show, and trust me, I'm loving every minute of it. But I know
that's all I got.
Listen, I had a lot of fun. I thought Greg was a great interview.
Oh, fantastic!
Oh,
I thought we had a lot of good NFL stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my
baseball.
Only last thing, I mean, this is super duper quick, and then after that, we'll just do a regular wrap up. Rangers finally announced yesterday. Henrik Lundqvist will have his number 30 jersey retired, which we all knew would happen eventually, against the Minnesota Wild on January 28th. So
good for him. Congratulations.
I mean, just obviously well deserved. It was a no brainer that he would be retired. Have his number retired. I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, no question. So just saw that, and I was very happy. I said, look, it's well deserved. It's pretty obvious that was not. It was not if it was going to happen. It was just a matter of when. And they finally announced that the other day. So good for Henrik Lundqvist. So that's it. I got nothing else. I just wanted to throw that in there for the end.
Yep.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
All right. Then go around. I'll start with you, JB. Where can they find you?
JB_the program on Twitter. The program on the Believe Network. NFL Carousel covering the Chargers. NBA Carousel coming back in just a couple of weeks. DB&A Television. Sideline Sports. The most important face of the most important places.
I like it.
Did you just come up with that?
I just thought of it.
That's clever.
Just remember, download the DB&A TV app on Roku, Fire Stick. Come watch us.
Or their website. Yep, DB&A.
Or their website.
TV.
Make sure you're there. A lot of good shows on there, but definitely, come see us.
Yep. John, where can they find you?
Yeah, Fox Sports 1340. You can find me on there writing Oriole recaps and then writing interview recaps for Kelsey Nicole Nelson, who covers the Washington football team, among other things in the D.C. area for Fox Sports. I also write for Cardiac Cane on Fansided, Fin Fanatic on Fansided. Cardiac Cane's the Carolina Hurricanes. Fin Fanatic is the Miami Dolphins. Sideline Sports, of course. Sports Arena Monday and Wednesday nights, 10 o'clock. NFL Carousel Thursday nights between 7 and 8. And then Blue Hawks 13 on Twitter, and DBNA television, of course, as JB mentioned, that's our home. That's where we belong. Yep. So, yeah.
Very excited about that.
And there will be a quiz later for all you that have
made it this far. Yeah. It's got like a list.
It's a long list. Yep. I'll make mine nice and short. You guys can find me on Twitter at Jake_Malik. You can find me Facebook, Instagram. Just look up my name, whatever. More importantly, Sideline Sports. Instagram and Twitter is Sideline Sport 1. YouTube and Facebook is Sideline Sports, as you see scrolling across the bottom of your screen. And most importantly now, not only are we on, as per usual, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, like we've been saying all of this time, we're now on DBNA TV. We are so excited to be there. So if you're not checking us out there, or YouTube or Facebook or wherever, what are you doing? I mean, you got to. We had a great interview with Greg. This is what we do. This is what we do. We got a lot of great stuff coming.
One last thing before we go, Matt Nagy, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Come defend yourself. We are here for you. Consider this like penance as a Catholic. Come confess your sin stuff, Matt Nagy. We will help you. We will teach you the blocking scheme to get Justin Fields to do some work for you. But you got to come. Got to come on the show. Come repent.
There you go.
That's it. I'm done.
All right, everybody, have a good night, and we will see you guys next week. John, where did you make that?
See you guys.